Hello, everyone. Happy Thursday. It's a lot of days today, guys. Happy Waffle Day, happy Peach Pie Day, happy for all of you who celebrate. Happy first day of pumpkin spice latte season. I know I'm excited. I'm sure you are too. And welcome to this next episode of the Piximo webinar series and today's offering of Design Matters, UI UX best practices for Power Apps, Power Pages, and the one and only SharePoint. As always, my name is Michael Wells. I am the Customer Success Manager here at CreoSpark. And it is my pleasure to welcome you all to the Pixel webinar series once again, whether it's your first time or your 29th and a half time. We are so happy to have you all here today. We are happy to be talking about design today. It is such an important topic. It has been coming up a lot lately and a lot of conversations we've been having. And we have two amazing members of the team here to talk about why design matters and all of that goes into it and why we love it so much. Next slide, please. So we are going to be talking about that today. I want to quickly run through the agenda for the day with you guys so you have an idea of what you're getting yourself into. We're going to be doing some introductions to for our two speakers in just a moment, and we'll go through some housekeeping in just a bit. We're going to talk a little bit about the difference between UI and UX. Also talking about human and fiscal ROI on UI UX. We'll also talk about design best practices, of course, 10 do's and don'ts to design success. And then as always, we'll leave some time at the end for some Q&A. Give you guys some time to design some questions to ask our speakers. There's your awful joke for today. All right, next slide, please. Yeah, we got a lot to go through, so let's keep moving. Okay, so we got housekeeping. Let me just go through this real quick. If you've got questions, please don't hesitate to ask them. Throw them on up in the questions tab. If you are on the desktop version of GoToWebinar, there should be a little pop out that says questions. If you're on the browser version, should be a little chat bubble with a question mark in it. Throw your questions on up in there. I'll be following along. I'll make sure we get your questions to our speakers. If I can't get to them in the moment, we will make sure that we get to them at the end for that Q&A time, like I said before. There's going to be a handout at the end. Check out that handouts tab. We'll be dropping some resources at the end of the session for y'all to take and frame and put up on your refrigerator for later. That's for you guys. Also, we always record our sessions, so we'll make sure we get that recording out to you by next week by email. Just keep an eye out for that in case you missed something. You can go back and watch it again. Maybe you want to watch it with your friends on a Friday night. Hey, whatever you want to do. I'm not judging it, but that recording will be there for you. Last but not least, we do have a survey that we like to put out toward the end. We'll talk about it a little bit more when we get to the end. It's a quick little 2-minute survey about the webinar. We do ask and encourage you guys to take that survey. Next slide, please. So if this is your first time or your 29th and a half time, let me tell you a little bit about who we are. We are the Piximo webinar series brought to you by the fine folks at CreoSpark. We, as we have always been, work all in and around the Microsoft universe, creating that Microsoft magic with all the different puzzle pieces they throw our way. And as it says on the screen, what it really comes down to is we have a passion for technology in pursuit of that ideal digital employee experience. That's what we're going for. We want to make sure that whatever you're using, however you're using it, is ideal and it's best suited for you. And we've got a couple different home bases that we like that we work out of. First is Davis, California, about 20 minutes south of the state capital, Sacramento. That's where I'm coming in from today. And then we've also got Toronto, Ontario, Canada. So we're covered almost all across all of North America, from sea to shining sea. Ooh, say that 10 times fast. And that's so we are happy to be here and happy to have a couple different home bases to work from and to cover everything that we can in that world. That's just a little bit about us. Next slide, please. Excuse me. All right, so we like to kick things off with a poll, get an idea of why y'all are here, what you're looking to get out of today, see kind of where you're at in terms of your knowledge of our topic of the day. So let me get this poll going. It's going to pop up on your screen to give you an opportunity to answer the question. Here it comes right now. How do you currently work with design/designers? You have the options of I am the designer, I am Spartacus, I am the designer, I want to become a designer, I wish I had a designer, or maybe you collaborate with a designer as a developer or a stakeholder. Let us know how you're working with design right now. We want to know, we want to understand maybe your relationship with it. It's very interesting answers coming in. I'm loving that. Thank you everyone who's throwing your votes in there so far. Very interesting as always to see these results coming in. About 10 more seconds, guys, and then we'll close down the poll and we'll share the results with you guys. Just so you know, I like to have some fun sharing it with you as well. All right, just a couple more seconds. Get your votes on in there if you want to. All right, and thank you so much, guys. I'm going to close that pull down, but I am, however, going to share the results with you. You can see where it is. So 15% of you are Spartacus. You are the designers. Thanks for being here today, designer friends. I want to become a designer for another 15% of you. I love it. I wish I had a designer, 10% of you. Yes, don't we all wish we had a designer? And then 45% collaborate with a designer as a developer, and then 15% of you collaborate with the designer as a stakeholder. So very, very interesting. And I will say this is one of the first polls we've done in a while that isn't super lopsided. There's obviously the answer that has the more votes, but pretty evenly spread across there. Excellent. Okay. Well, with that, let's get to introductions. Let's talk about the speakers. Enough about me. Let's talk about the people who really matter today, the people who are going to be talking to us about design. All right. First and foremost, we have the gentleman. He's on my right. He might be in a different configuration depending on where you are. He is our senior UI UX designer. He's coming in from Elk Grove, California. He is the one. He is the only. He is Kunaal Sharma. Mr. Sharma, how you doing today, sir?
Doing really well, thank you, Michael. Excited to be here. A little bit about me. As Michael said, I'm the senior UI UX designer here at CuriousSpark, and I've lost count, but I've been working with the company for 10 plus years now, and I've done just about any kind of projects from setting up one-off portals to building full internet sites to Power Pages to Power Apps. So hopefully I can get some of my knowledge out to you. So for the ones that's looking to be a designer, I can help you out. For those working with designers, maybe we can help you assist in getting your processes better or just getting some new ideas out there. But yeah, excited to share my knowledge, and I'll hand it off to Michael back and get Min introduced.
Absolutely. I should also mention this is Kunal's, I think, third or fourth webinar that he's been on, so it's always a pleasure to have him back. So thank you, Kunal, for joining us once again. Always great to have you, bud. And then next we have a first timer to the Pixamo webinar series. He's another one of our amazing UI UX designers. He's coming in all the way from Vancouver. He is the one, he is the only Min Chun. Men, how you doing today, sir?
Good, thank you. Super excited to be here. I'm the UI UX designer at CryoSpark. I can't say I've worked as long as Kunal did, but currently I'm mainly working on our app EXP. So if you have any questions or anything about design, you can shoot me a message. I do love to doodle when I have free time, so come check me out on my Instagram. Please follow. And yeah, so excited to be here.
You don't have to make me sound that old, man, but let's jump into why we are here today. And I'd like to share a couple of quotes, sort of get an understanding about what we'll be looking into, and looking into some best practices. So the process of design essentially has a great impact on shaping our culture, everything around us, such as our work environment. Typically for internets too, then when we involve design, good things happen. And design is so much more than just making things pretty. It influences the way we use our day-to-day technology, which in turn has huge impact on our lives. In a business setting, design shapes sort of the entire brand. So what you see from your colors, your logo, to just about anything our clients touches, our customers touches, it creates that company culture. Also, when a product is designed well, it also enhances its qualities, making it more appealing and useful to its intended audience. Good design can make a product more user-friendly, not just a product and internet as well. It'll be efficient, it'll be engaging, which ultimately helps our products achieve its maximum potential in terms of acceptance, satisfaction, and overall impact. So that's sort of what these two quotes mean. Design creates that culture, the culture shapes our values, and then the values determine what our future is. So thinking about an internet in that case, when we put out any kind of content, how that content's created from the words to the visuals that we put out, that creates those values that our company wants to put out. And if those values are understood by our employees, that creates a really good environment, keeping people happy and people stay within the company too. And then sort of on the flip side, Thomas J. Watson from IBM said this, where we are convinced that good design can materially help make a good product reach its full potential. Good design is just good business, and nothing more to add to that. When you think all about design and what the user experience is, it enhances just about everything. You bring back people. They want to keep using your application, and overall, just good for the business. And so with that in mind, I'll push it to Min to sort of start understanding what user interface and user experience are. These are terms that will be thrown around. I'm sure you've heard about those or come to it on your day-to-day. So let's talk about a little bit about what the difference between user interface and user experience are, how they work together, and sort of what we can do to help our products and whatnot take this into account.
Thank you. To get this webinar jump started, let's talk about what UI and UX is. In simple terms, think of UI like the face of a digital product, such as website or an app. It's everything you see, interact within on the screen. It's just the buttons you click, the colors and pictures you see, and the way things are arranged. Just like how a well-organized room is pleasant to be in, a good UI makes digital products easy and enjoyable as well. It's like the design that makes the product look nice and the way you interact with feels smooth. So then what is UX? Imagine you are at a restaurant. The user experience, or UX, is the whole dining experience from the moment you walk in to when you leave. It's just not about the food, but how comfortable you are, how well the staff treats you, and how easy it is to find your way around. Similarly, in technology, UX is all about the whole journey of using the website, app, or any digital product or service. It's not just about the buttons and colors, which is UI, but how everything works together to make you feel good while using it. So a good UX means you can find what you need easily, everything works smoothly, and you leave it to smile. So it's like creating a digital experience that's enjoyable and makes you want to come back to your product or service. So the focus of UI UX could be a little different, but also interact with each other. The focus of UI is on the design and presentation of visual elements that users interact with. It involves creating a visually appealing and intuitive interface that includes elements, like I've said before, menus, icons, and layouts. Whereas the focus of UX is on the overall experience a user has while interacting with a product or service. So it encompasses how easy and enjoyable it is for users to achieve their goals and the emotions they feel while using it. So in essence, UI concentrates on how things look and arranged, while UX is concerned with how users feel and experience the product. Both UI and UX are essential to create a product that is not only visually appealing, but also provides a seamless and satisfying user experience. Then what are the goals of UI UX? The primary goals of UI design involves creating an aesthetically pleasing interface that promotes visual appeal and effective communication. UI designers aim to make sure usability by designing interfaces that are intuitive, easy to navigate, while maintaining consistency and clarity in design elements and text. They also prioritize feedback and responsiveness, catering to accessibility needs and adapting interfaces to various devices from your mobile phone, tablet, and even on your desktop. So furthermore, UI design aims to reflect brand identity, foster user engagement, and establish emotional connections, ultimately enhancing the overall experience and satisfaction. So the key goals of UX now is to create user-centered interfaces that prioritize efficiency, effectiveness, which leads to seamless and satisfying experiences. By empathetically understanding users' needs, conducting thorough research, and regular usability testing. User designers make sure that the product meets user requirements while also delivering engaging and emotionally resonant journey. Also, accessibility, clear information architecture, and seamless interaction further contribute to a design that accommodates diverse users, minimize frustration, and fosters lasting improvement through different variations, improvements, and also refinements. So why are UI and UX important? Like we've discussed, UI and UX are essential elements in digital design, each serving a distinct but interconnected purpose. A well-crafted UI not only creates a visually appealing interface, but also influences users' initial perceptions and interactions. Its role in presenting information coherently, offering intuitive navigation, and reflecting brand identity sets a stage for user engagement. Furthermore, a thoughtfully designed UI can establish credibility to your brand and make users feel at ease, which paves the way for deeper exploration to your product or service. So UX, on the other hand, it delves deeper to users' journey, focusing on their needs, behaviors, and emotions as well. So by understanding users' preferences, UX design tailors interfaces that efficiently guide users through tasks, eliminating friction points, and so forth. This efficiency with a resonant experience fosters user satisfaction, loyalty, and even positive word of mouth, which can be also used for a marketing tool for you. So also UX emphasizes accessibility, making sure that your product is usable by a diverse audience. In summary, UI UX create a harmonious user experience where aesthetics meet functionality, ultimately contributing to a product success by drawing users in and again fulfilling their needs and leaving a lasting positive impression. I'll hand it off to Kunaal.
Muted myself there, but sort of the lasting impression is what we're always looking for. So what we're going to be looking into next is the human and fiscal ROI of what user experience is. So what do we mean by it? Let's sort of jump back a little bit and take a look at something that one of GE's designers, actually not a designer, but he created the MRI machine. Doug Dietz had created an award-winning design for an MRI machine, but he soon realized that his patients were terrified having MRIs. I mean, look at the image on the left. I'd be scared to go inside that myself. So what he did was he set out and studied human-centered approach to design and observed and talked to his patients, essentially the users that we were talking about. And after understanding his patients' fears, he redesigned the MRI scanner. So you can now see the impact that focusing on UX can have on the lives of people interacting with the product. It can be profound. In the case of these children who were going into these MRIs, what was valuable to them and their parents was making the experience of having an MRI a delightful experience rather than a terrifying one. And this is the one reason why we need to invest in people. So that's sort of what we mean by human ROI. One of Google's 10 philosophies are focus on the user and all else will follow, similar to the MRI. Before, it was so scary that people wouldn't want to get into it, and after sort of the redesign, it alleviated some of the fear. And that's the simple concept that if we make our users happy, they're more likely to come back to whatever that we're trying to have them use. Essentially, this is what that I said is what we're referring to human return of investment. It is the value gained from investing in the well-being, growth, and development of the people within an organization or even our out-facing customers. Human ROI includes factors such as employee engagement, job satisfaction, skill development, and overall quality of work life. And design can have significant impact on the lives of individuals. Investing in design that is human focused will ensure success of any product. Going back to that quote that I mentioned early on. This is why human ROI should always be considered. Investing in design that is human focused ensures success. If you want to, there's another quote by Jan Jerser, who is an author of UX Storytellers 16. If you want to offer products or services that have value for your customers, you must first make an effort to understand what our customers consider valuable. Now, on the flip side, we also want to maximize our financial returns. And how do we do that? How do you make sure that the products that we put out there is actually making us money? So good UX is the difference between a great product and a failed one. This is why you see companies like Apple, Google, and Airbnb putting so much focus into their user experience. Apple always focuses on the design of it, how I'm interacting with my phone, to the computers, and they're always slow on releasing their products, just so they're so hyper focused on creating a product that's going to be usable. Same thing with Google. They're trying to focus in a little bit more on UX. They invest so much money into that. Failure to invest in UX design is currently creating a $1 billion loss of revenue, a loss that will become a $1 trillion issue if not taken into account. So this is an internal issue as well. Projects take longer to deliver, use more people power both during and after completion, and get stalled by avoidable faults and issues, which causes it to be more expensive to alter or improve later on. So some of the biggest benefits of companies who do focus on UX are there's a boost in revenue, so bringing back people to utilize my app more and more, fewer support calls, even for intranets when we're building out nice pages, beautifully designed with great content, reduce the support calls that we bring into our HR or IT. We have the answers there and easy for our users to get to. There's also increased customer satisfaction, so happy people, happy products, and coming back to it. Also, reduction of development waste. So when we're working with our developers, making sure that design is up to par with the users in mind, we reduce that development cycle and also lower the risk of development of the wrong idea. So if we develop something that I as a user not going to use, that's money wasted right there, time wasted. And now the developers have to go back and rethink about what we're going to build. And so that leads to sort of the dev side of it. The cost of fixing an error after development is 100 times that of fixing before development. So just think about that we're wasting so much time if we're not taking design into account, our users not into account. And so early issue identification, as UX designers, we can focus on understanding the user needs and expectations. So by identifying those potential usability issues, user pain points, and design flaws early in the process, we can avoid those costly redesigns and fixes that might be required later. Also, when we do those iterative designs, as Min mentioned during the process of interface design, we can test and refine and improve based on user feedback. So we're involving our users throughout the process, so they also understand what's coming for Power Pages, Power Apps, or even the intranets. So they know exactly what they'll be expecting once we do develop and deploy our solutions. It also increases user adoption. Again, going back to involving people early on, a product with a good user experience is more likely to be adopted by our users. So this can lead to increased engagement, positive reviews, and ultimately better outcomes. Conversely, if we have poor UX, could lead to low adoption rates and even failure, people not using our intranets. And we will take a way to reduce inefficiencies in this later on when we talk about the best practices of Power Apps. So here's some ways that we can sort of track and measure UX ROIs. What you want to do early on is define your objectives and metrics. Clearly define those, what you want to achieve with your SharePoint site, your Power App, or your Power Pages. This could include goals like increased productivity, reduced errors, improved engagement, or streamlined processes. Identify those key performance indicators or KPIs that align with these objectives. These could include metrics like user adoption rates, task completion times, error rates, satisfaction scores, or even reduction in support requests. Also establish the baseline. So before jumping into actually building anything, record all your baselines so that way you have something to come back to measure what you're looking to measure. Do constant user feedback and surveys. Conduct those interviews early, gather those qualitative feedback from our users. Ask users about their experiences, their satisfaction levels, and any pain points they've encountered. So when we're talking to users, they know that we're working on something and we're listening to them. And then try to utilize some of the usage analytics. Power Apps actually has something built in, and SharePoint also utilizes a base analytics tool. This can provide us insight into how the app's often being used and which features are popular and where users might be encountering difficulties. There are also tools like something that we demoed in a previous webinar, like tyGraph, that helps you kind of track some of these a little bit more granularly. So with that in mind, let's sort of jump into the design best practices and how you can up your game into building better products, better SharePoint sites and apps. There we go.
All right, let's take a quick dive into the world of UX, where we focus on the 5 principles of visual design that help shape how we perceive things. First up, there's balance, which is a harmonious distribution of visual elements across any interface. Then we have scale, which is all about using size to convey importance and information hierarchy. Think of it as visually highlighting what matters most. Next up is contrast. So contrast differentiate elements through color, size, or shape to help grab our attention. Imagine a red button indicating delete. It's intentionally distinct from the rest to allow users to make correct selections or don't make any selections. And we also have visual hierarchy. It guides our eyes, leading them to notice elements in order of importance. It's like a roadmap for our gaze, ensuring we see that truly matters first or is important to a business. Lastly, the Gestalt principles reveal how we naturally organize complex information. They're like shortcuts that our brain uses to make sense of what we're actually looking at. So understanding these fundamental principles of visual design isn't just about aesthetics. It's about enhancing usability, sparking motion, and creating delight for users, sometimes even without knowing them. So buckle up and we'll delve deeper into these concepts and explore how they translate into design best practices for SharePoint, Power Apps, and also Pages.
Awesome, thank you. So when we jump into sort of designing our SharePoint pages, we always want to start with defining the purpose. Without a plan, things are going to fail. Like if you don't know what you're going to be building, how are you going to be building it? So start from the beginning. It's important to define what we're going to be building. The first thing you want to understand is what are your key organizational goals? And these goals should directly address the challenges and needs of our employees. And clearly defined purpose will guide them through, or not them, but us, through the design, development, and content creation of the SharePoint sites, and also the ongoing maintenance of our intranet. So always build your site with the user in mind. Building an intranet with the user in mind is a key aspect of ensuring its usability, adoption, and effectiveness within your organization. The success of an intranet lies in how well it meets the needs of users. By keeping the users at the center of your design and development process, you can create an intranet that enhances productivity, communication, collaboration within your organization. We should consider both content creators who contribute to the site as well as the visitors, understanding what they seek and how they intend to use the internet. It's crucial to contemplate the desires of each user regarding this platform and their potential contribution to the platform's success. You want to conduct, so the ways to do this is you conduct stakeholder and employee interviews to gain insights into those needs, preferences, and pain points. This will reduce making any assumptions and reduce the risk of investing time and money into features that may not align with the actual user preferences. So third, you want to lay the foundation out, right? So with the user taken into mind, start laying out the foundation of your sites that you will be building. If you are starting a new internet, understand what you want to build and the content needed for your users. If you already have an internet, conduct an audit of what your content that you do have. Remove what's old and dated and keep what is highly utilized. Performing a content audit will also influence your information architecture. You will get an understanding of the types of information needed. Conduct cart sortings or tree tests to build user-focused navigation. Majority of the times when we're working with organizations, their navigation structure is usually org-based, so it's all the departments listed out at the top. And this is not really bode well for users that don't understand what each of those departments mean or do. So trying to focus in on a navigation that's based on what the user needs will be highly utilized. Also build a governance plan to ensure that certain rules and guides are followed. That way, we have our templates built out, our navigation structures built out. There's a plan, there are people involved to make sure that our internet is going to work the way it's supposed to. In the top Internet of 2020 report by the Nielsen Norman Group, it was noted that sites that were not selected lacked navigation structure or search did not work really well. There was a lack of content strategy and sites were poorly designed. So by incorporating some of these strategies into the design and development of your SharePoint sites can significantly enhance its user friendliness and help us ensure that you're building a successful internet. So once you sort of have that information architecture down and you understand the features and all the content needs that we do have, start building those templates. So site templates ensure a consistent look and feel across all of our sites within our organization. So by predefining layouts, the themes, and the navigation structures, you can maintain your brand identity and provide a unified experience to your users. Templates also simplify site creation for users who might not be familiar with the SharePoint complexity. So making it easier for our content creators to get started with the pages easily. They can choose a template that aligns with their needs and avoid the need to start from a blank canvas. So if there's a blank canvas, I wouldn't know exactly what to put on there, and we can sort of guide them with our custom templates to create the content that they need. Templates can also incorporate best practices for information architecture, the taxonomy, some of the content organization, and then just promoting better content management and findability. So it kind of goes back to the whole idea of governance, that we can have these built into our templates. And sort of the next step is look into your titles and the URLs and the labels. We want to make those as easy as possible for everybody to understand. So when composing links or labels, remember the 4 S's. Writing specific links that set sincere expectations and fulfill them that are substantial enough to stand alone while remaining as succinct as possible. So be as descriptive and clear about your links, use action-oriented languages, and provide a little bit more context to what we're putting out. So some examples of labels that we do want to try or utilize within our design. So if you want to say, we want to push people to product details, instead of saying click here, we say view product details. Instead of just saying download, you want to say download PDF guide, giving them an idea of exactly what they'll be getting to. Also keep it concise while being descriptive. Keep them short, keep them concise without overwhelming people with the overwhelming or lengthy labels. And then we'll look into some sort of captivating content tips. How do you write content for the webs? Readers generally have a limited time available to go through the content. When I'm working, I'm not exactly sort of going into the content hoping to read everything. We're naturally scanning the content that's there. So this is why it's important to write, important that writing is effective enough to grab the user's attention. Use the words that our users would use. By using keywords that our users are used to, you will help them understand the copy. And this will also help us optimize search. So with keywords there, if I'm searching for something specific and I don't know exactly what I'm looking for, I can type those words into search and then I'll be given those results for the pages that I'm looking for. Also look into front loading the important information, sort of using this inverted pyramid style. So this technique involves organizing information to lead with the most important details at the top. So most newsworthy information, the who, the what, the when, the where, why, and the hows at the top. So that way, if I do come to this page, I understand exactly what I'll be getting out of it. You also want to chunk your content. So chunking content makes your content more scannable by breaking it into manageable sections, so creating bits of content throughout your page. Also use clear headings and subheads. When in SharePoint, use those H1s and H2s so that way we can have the content be organized in a clear hierarchy. This also enhances the readability and helps users quickly locate the information they're seeking. It's also good for accessibility. Another sort of quick tip is to create an editorial calendar. So when you're putting out content, have a calendar created so that way you can consistently create news items or pages. You want to keep content as fresh as possible, and so that way people know that I have new things to come read on the internet. Also, don't forget about the visuals. Too much writing and big blocks of text can make a page dull and boring. Use diagrams, photos, infographics to add a little bit visual appeal. Include real photos of team members or situations and setting that will be relevant for our employees or to your employees. And also images help to ensure that we reflect the internet's brand personality. When you're utilizing imagery in your designs or even in your pages, make sure they're relevant to the content that you're pushing out, that it makes sense that it's living on this page. Don't just put an image for the sake of having an image, then that's just the visual clutter that we don't want on a page. Another good tip for breaking up content on a SharePoint page is to use the section background. Sections are a way to organize and structure content on a page. They allow you to divide a page into distinct areas, so each with its own layout, design, and content. And here are some benefits that kind of help you with the breaking SharePoint pages with the sections. Helps you organize your content. So sections will help you organize content in a logical and visual manner on a page. It helps you break up long pages as well. You can separate different types of content such as text, images, videos, or any kind of web part into distinct sections, making them a little bit more readable and legible for our users. And it provides some flexibility in our layout. So section enables us to create diverse layouts within a single page. You can have different column configurations, such as one section and 2 columns, and another with 3, allowing you to highlight and present content in multiple different ways that best suits our communication needs. It also brings in a little bit of visual appeal. By creating these sections, you can provide clear separation, and then you can also add in a little bit of color. As you see in the screenshot, this section has some nice teal color that brings in attention to it, and it also helps break that sort of monotonous tone that we have usually with just the white background. And last tip for making usable SharePoint sites, don't be afraid to use the web parts that's available out of the box. These are modular components that allow you to add various types of content. So incorporating web parts on your SharePoint pages is a powerful way to create dynamic, engaging, and tailored experience for our visitors. It also improves communication and information sharing within our organizations. Some of the popular web parts that we like to utilize time and time again in our solutions are the text web part, mostly for when we're pushing out informational types of content, imagery, image web parts, the link web parts where we can link to different areas within our site or even external. So the quick links web part's really nice. Try to utilize the different layouts as well. Sometimes you can use the buttons for different specific uses and then the list layout for other types of uses. And you can create that structure throughout your design. The news web part lets us pull news items from different areas and display it in one specific page. And then with the hero web part, it's a little bit more visual and provides us a way to group content and highlight it on our pages. So with that, let's jump into some tips and tricks for Power Apps and Power Pages. Again, we kind of go back to the same idea of the research and the process matters. We always want to sort of start with that preliminary research that sets up the clear expectations of what we're going to be building. It gives us insight into how we want to build our Power Apps or even our Power Pages. So based on the knowledge gathered during the user research phases, we can then design or build prototypes for what we're going to be building or developing. This will help us ensure that we're capturing the needed requirements for our Power Apps or even our Power Pages, and then so that we're reducing that development time that we mentioned before. We're also doing user testing in between, and it's a little bit iterative. I didn't show it here in this visual, but sometimes what happens is that we'll create the designs, we'll do the user testing, and if we need to figure out different ways to accomplish a certain feature because the user wasn't happy with it, we'll go back to the designing phase and then jump into deploying. We only deploy when our users are happy with the actual prototype. That way we're not spending so much time actually developing something that's not needed. Another sort of tip when doing any kind of design project or any software builds, or even your SharePoint pages, is to look at user stories. Now, user stories are a widely used concept in the software development world. There are short, simple descriptions of a feature or requirement or piece of functionality, and it's from the perspective of an end user or a customer. So in basic, you want to define who the user is. So as a visitor of the internet, I want to be able to get to my benefits page so that I understand what exactly is available to me from the organization's perspective. So that's one way to structure your goals. So once you do your user research, start creating your user stories. That will better help you focus on the needs and goals that we will be looking into building our Power Apps. And for when it's possible, stop using the defaults. Just while it's a great way to get started on building any app, the main reason to stop using the defaults that's available in Power Apps is that they don't provide as unique of an experience to our users. You want to be able to revamp those defaults and adjust colors to better align with what our branding is. Change the fonts from default Open Sans or any other website fonts can be used. It will automatically update the Power Platform design that you're looking to create. And that sort of leads us into, you want to be able to create custom themes. This is a really great way to create that consistency throughout your apps and pages. For color, you want to organize these into sort of three main categories. You want to have your primary, your accent, and your neutrals. For primary, these are your main brand colors and kind of determine the look and feel of your overall app. Most of the time, like I said, you want to use your brand colors. For accents, these are necessary colors to guide the user across the application. So sometimes when you are using a product, you'll notice that there's green used. So green meaning success, or red for danger or deletion of something or canceling of something. Also blue, which might be more informational based, or even sometimes you'll notice the links having a blue color to it. The third category of neutrals Typically, these are your grays, the blacks that you use, as well as the white tones in your design. Now, while creating your color palette, you want to ensure that from an accessibility standpoint, you want to ensure that your colors have sufficient contrast. There's multiple accessibility checkers that's out there that you can utilize from the web content accessibility guides, as well as Power Apps has a built-in accessibility checker. So it's not just limited to colors, but it'll help you pinpoint areas where you might have issues with color contrast. You also want to look into, if you want, getting custom fonts. Power Apps comes with 15 different fonts, but you can also add in some custom ones as needed. Stick to a limited set of fonts. Don't go more than 2. It gets harder to manage. Also, creating a hierarchy with more than 2 fonts make it a little bit cumbersome. You also want to create contrast between your headings and subheadings and body text. Also, avoid fonts that are overly decorative that may hinder legibility. So again, going back to the accessibility, we want to make sure that our application can be read by just about everybody. Also, as a note, sometimes custom fonts are not guaranteed to display, so I do want to point that out. It may not display properly across your devices and web browsers, so it's best to test all your devices early on while you're building this. Also, you want to look into utilizing some sort of graphics icons. Choosing icons really make a difference visually and provide a bit more context where sometimes words can't. Some common libraries that you can use for great icons are the Fluent UI, also Font Awesome. So those will get you a head start on getting a good set of icons. Now, while you have your base sort of theme set up, look into using grids. So there's different ways that we can look at grids. Grids help us create that visual sort of consistency, provides us with a structured framework that helps us maintain that consistency from different screens to different pages, different parts of an interface. Elements placed within a grid are more likely to have uniform spacing, alignment, and proportions. And again, going to alignment, this helps us maintain that good alignment between elements on a given page. By hierarchy, this also, a well-designed grid enables us to create that hierarchy that we've been talking about so far with our text. So by using different grid cells or columns, different types of content such as headings and text blocks and images, we can guide the user's attention and improve that readability. Grids also helps us for creating responsive design. So I know that with Power Apps, we can definitely do that, where we can start with a iPad-based design, which also works in mobile designs. So this also helps us create responsive designs. Efficiency. So grids also streamlines the design process by providing that framework which us designers can quickly arrange elements in. And so that leads us to sort of the item that I mentioned earlier, another way of saving and streamlining future efforts. Create a design system for your applications. If you're creating multiple for your organization, look into ways where you can streamline this. This could be done after delivery or even before. Set these up. There's also a designer creator kit available from Microsoft. The kit helps create Power Apps experiences on the web and mobile platforms with convenient components that are used throughout our Power Apps. So they're available, and we'll provide that link in our resource handout. And when in doubt, sort of look into consulting a design checklist. Power Apps has this, and we'll provide the link to this as well. The Microsoft App Design Checklist is a great place to start as a guide, as it's a guideline, can apply to any sort of design project. This checklist has performative, visual, and informational success criteria that any designer or non-designer or citizen designer can utilize to sort of get started with their Power Apps and even SharePoint pages. So with that, let's take a look at a little bit of how you can up your game in designing your interfaces and Power Apps with a little bit of UI Dos and Don'ts.
Thanks, Kyle. Next slide, please. So let's take a look at a few examples of do's and don'ts in design. First off is color psychology. So using different colors can definitely make you feel certain emotions and make your experience better. Designers pick colors on purpose to make you feel excited, calm, or like you can trust the website or even your brand. The colors help you notice important things like the buttons that you need to click. So if you look at the example here, the one on the right, we recognize the red color as alert, danger, or warning, or delete. So when the designers choose these colors, it allows users to easily decide whether to select or not select these action buttons without thinking too hard, which makes your experience seamless and easier. And next up, we have human language. Next slide, please. Okay, so using a human-like language that feels like how people naturally talk is super important in designing apps and websites, because when things are explained in a way that feels like a conversation you have with a person, it helps you figure out how to use the product without getting confused. So looking at the example again here, I'm stretching a little bit, but a user might understand the action button on the left, cart, as it would taking you to the cart, not necessarily adding the product to your cart. To avoid these confusion, it's easier to use and better to use a human-like language. We have consistency. So think of consistency as in UI UX design, like having a reliable friend. It means things look and work the same way all over your website or your design or your product. You can find things easily, understand how stuff works. It's like following a path you know well, where everything is organized, familiar, which makes your online experience smooth and enjoyable. On the example here, if the element you have to select has all these different designs and containers to it, you use more of your brain power to learn and understand what those selections are and what it means. So making it consistent makes it easier for us humans to digest information and just breeze through your website. We also have easy to reach call to action. So making sure the next step buttons such as sign up or buy now are easy to find and press is really important in any sort of design. Imagine if signs showing you where to go is big and clear, you wouldn't get lost. The same goes for buttons. When these buttons are easy to see and tap, you know what to do and can do quickly, like buying something or signing up for something fun, which makes the user experience so much better. This can also affect your business when buttons are easy to find. More people do what your business wants, such as purchasing your product. Last but not least, we have prompt to scroll. Prompt to scroll in UI UX design is a technique that involves providing visual or textual cues to allow and encourage users to scroll down an interface, making sure they discover hidden content, engage more deeply, follow a narrative flow, and interact with call to action like your business intended. This also enhances user experience by guiding attention and also maintaining simplicity. So this was the quick 5 of do's and don'ts, and knowing the difference between UX and UI is a great start. Also knowing how to employ them to your significant advantage will set you apart, definitely. So user acceptance is critical to any product, project, or service. A good rule of thumb is to test early with real users and test often. Businesses simply fail without happy customers or even employees. Make yours happy with good UX. We hope the content we provided today will help you in journey of creating great SharePoint site and amazing Power Apps. Thank you.
Oh, I think you're muted, Michael.
Double muted. Gotta love when you double mute yourself. Thank you, gentlemen, for this session today. What a wonderful session. Thank you so much for going through all this stuff. We've got some resources for you guys that we want to share, kind of based all around what our session's been about today. There is a handout in the handouts tab, resources from today. So make sure you grab that, check that out. You know, might point in case you have questions after the session, they might be able to point you in the right direction to get what you're looking for. So there is that. If we go to the next slide, please. All right. So I mentioned a survey before. We have a little webinar survey that we like to do. We like to get feedback from our attendees. We are a culture of constant improvement, so we want to make sure we are always putting on the best product possible. So we would love to hear your feedback about the session. You know, let us know what you thought. We'd love to hear it. Maybe there's a session topic you'd like to see on another episode of the Pixelmo webinar series. Let us know. Let us know everything you thought that about it. We'd love to hear from you. And if you do submit that survey, you are entered in for a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card. We do our drawings quarterly. Next month will be that drawing. So if you want to be entered in for a chance to get that $50 Amazon gift card, do that survey, grab that link, fill it out, let us know what you think, and we'll be putting your name in the hat, as they say. We'd love to hear your feedback. We'd love for you to be a winner. We love all that stuff. All right, and since there are no more questions, unless they come in the next little bit, I want to thank everybody so much for being here today. Min, Kunaal, a truly phenomenal session. Thank you so much for designing the session for us. There we go. Brought that one back for a second time. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here today. Have a great rest of your Thursday, a great rest of your week. I know summer's kind of starting to wind down, but I hope you all have a great rest of summer, and we will see you all down the road. Take it easy, everybody.
Well,
Thank you, everyone.